Nomad loved to tackle one problem at a time. So first was to create a safe place for young people such as us to come to our place instead of being in the streets. And what we did from the time I was there is that we stood against knife crime from the day we started. We organised sessions where the community came together and came for solutions, because that's what Nomad likes to do.
This project is called Call Me By My Name. One of the key reasons was because we didn't want young people or us or people from the community to be seen just as a basic report, numbers or statistics. We are not numbers, we're not just stats. We have young people that are translating for their parents, taking them to the GP, taking them to lawyer meetings at the age of 13 and 14. And if we don't get the whole perspective, you would only see the perspective of the incidents or just the criminal, but actually this person's a brother, this person's a sister, this person does so many things and has so many roles to play in life. If we don't understand that as a whole, how do we create solutions that are effective and solutions that are based on their realities?
What Nomad helped me in was it protected me from stuff that I could have got myself into. It taught me there's a more meaning to life than just money, wealth and stuff. It taught me about the diversity of people. So to never judge a person by just an image of how they look, and to always to understand a person, because you will understand a deeper meaning when you get to know the person. I'm not gonna lie, without this place, I don't know where I'd be half of the time, because I know my past. I don't want to speak tough about it, but like, it was a rough time where I was going up to no good, but ever since I've came to Nomad, it felt like if I can't be at home, if I finish school, if I finish work, I have a place that I can come that I know that I am safe, know that I won't get up to no good, know that even if I try to do something stupid or out of line, someone will put me in my place to be telling me, yo, do not do that. Which they were like a stepping stone for me to not get into nothing, to not do any trouble, but also for me to elevate myself as a human.
So my name is Di Rees, and I'm an inspector for the Metropolitan Police. I currently look after the neighbourhood policing teams on the west side of Harrow, so everything from the town centre out west. I've been in the police now for 17, 18 years. And I've been at Harrow for 2 years within my current role. I think what I've noticed in Harrow is that Harrow has a very sort of community spirited feel, but I'm not sure everyone in the community feels that spirit. And what I mean by that is a lot of people and partners I deal with are very committed, very helpful, and I absolutely value them and trust them implicitly. But what we have a real lack of is engagement with young people. So a lot of our partners in community work, we need to bring more people on board. We need to make sure that young people are represented. A lot of our young people are transient within the borough, so they might well get buses through the borough. They might not necessarily live on the borough, for instance. And the way that our town centre almost acts as a bit of a hot spot for the young people to come in but then leave, I think this may cause a bit of a lack of connection, and that's not just to policing. I think that's perhaps to the local community, that's perhaps to some of the shopping areas, the businesses, etc., etc. I think some of the challenges therefore that young people face is they don't feel as connected to Harrow as perhaps they should. So I think the major challenges I do see, apart from obviously the rise in certain crime types or indeed the proliferation of some crime types, is just ensuring that we are one as Harrow and getting people to buy into that. speaking honestly, we found recently in the last sort of several years, we've had some very high profile cases that have knocked trust and confidence, both in Harrow and indeed all around the Met. We've seen some terrible instances of police officers being either inappropriate or acting in a criminal way. And I know that the new Met for London plan, as the Commissioner's called it, seeks to address a lot of these areas. But we can't be remiss and think this doesn't impact somewhere like Harrow, who, even though it's safe, even though there's a lot of trust and confidence here, we clearly have more work to do.
My name's Claire. I'm a domestic abuse survivor. I now work in domestic abuse. I work on the referral line for Hestia. I also work with the London Air Ambulance and Barts Trust as a domestic abuse befriender for patients in hospital. I don't let my daughter go out at all now because my daughter's 15. She's witnessed 2 young people being stabbed, and she's been threatened with a knife herself. It's just not safe out there, and it's not just now one person. It's a whole gang of people jumping on one person, filming it, putting it all over the internet, or Snapchat, whatever it is. It's not safe at all. I think it's actually more unsafe for young people than it is for adults. I'm very unsatisfied. There's nothing in Harrow for young people, especially young girls that have experienced domestic abuse or sexual violence. There's absolutely nothing. We were offered nothing. I've looked to outside agencies to see if there's anything I could find, but they don't cover Harrow. When people do report things, not much is done about it, which enables people to continue to do things if they're bad, and also makes other people who have tried to do the right thing think, well, there's nothing else I can do, I might as well just do this because nothing's going to happen anyway, and I'm not going to get attacked if I do what so-and-so says. So I think there's a lot, but there's not much support for people. There's no young adult service. It's literally children's services and adult services, but young people, there's a crossover where they kind of would need, the child services can't support them and adult services can't support them. There needs to be a young people's service that works directly with young people to support them and their needs, because their needs are different from children and their needs are different from adults, and at the moment there's a gap there. There's nothing. The school have actually been quite helpful, but they haven't got the training and they haven't got the, to deal with this kind of the training themselves to know how to handle situations like this.
Hi, I'm Lee Janaway and I'm the Head of Student Services, Guidance and the Designated Safeguarding Lead here at Harrow College. Yeah, the impact of violence and crime on our young people is that firstly it impacts them on them feeling safe in and around Harrow, coming into college, going home, witnessing it, the effects it has on their mental state, feeling uncomfortable, feeling worried that they could be targeted, etc. So that does impact on students. In some cases it could impact them choosing not to attend because they've seen something around, or in some cases they're drawn into it, and actually whether that's through protecting friends in their opinions, or whether it's that they feel that somebody has done something to them or said something to them, and how they respond. Young kids are carrying knives now. Primary school kids are carrying knives now. It's shocking, but I've heard about it for their safety.
So do you think that they're pressured because of their safety? Do you think there's any other reasons as well as their safety?
Well, with some of them probably to commit harm against people. But I think a lot of young people initially start off carrying knives. From what my daughter's told me and from the young people that I've met, they initially start off because they feel that they need to keep themselves safe.
I know a lot of people carry knives in Harrow bus station because I've seen people get stabbed myself in Harrow bus station. It's happened to me before, so of course I'm not going to feel safe if I know people are carrying knives. So I don't know what their intention is to do with it.
He started the fight knowing fully well that we didn't do anything about it, and then when he started we reacted to it and he didn't like our reaction, and he made him take our knife and start chasing us. People out here carry knives, and there's other people in the world that look just not like you but similar to you, and you can be mistaken for another person, and that might lead up to a fatal incidents where you potentially could get stabbed or die.
He was in this country, so it's not relatable like to people here, because like I came from another country like 4 years ago, so like I got a friend that got stabbed, and it's not like something relevant there, like it barely never happens. So like where I'm from, usually when you got beef with someone, it's just like fist fight and then you let go. But that one time he just got stabbed outside of a nightclub and he died.
It kind of is concerning because I won't be comfortable enough to be wearing tracksuits or like, not, when I mean tracksuits, I mean like tech fleeces or trap stuff, because I feel like I'll be affiliated with gang related stuff. And especially as Harrow, for the upcoming couple months right now so far, there's been numerous knife crimes.
My name's Ahmed. I was a victim of knife crime stabbing. I'm 14 and I was a victim of a knife crime stabbing in Harrow bus station. There was around 3-4 months ago. It was on November the 19th. It punctured one of my lungs right here. I had to go to hospital. I had a chest drain in my lung for a whole week. I was in hospital for like a week and a half, I think.
There was a time where 4 or 5 stabbings happened in the space of 1 week or 2 in Harrow. And after the whole 2 weeks where everything happened, we saw a lot of police coming and putting some metal detectors and everything. And personally, that made me very questioning them and made me very angry, because why does it have to take 5 stabbings in 1 week, 5 stabbings in 1 week, almost one every day, a little 14-year-old child to go hospital. If they were here when everything happened, I'm pretty sure none of it would have happened. At least be there were a lot, and that was great. But why did it take them a whole week when children had to go hospital when 5 stabbing happened? They did it once after the whole thing happened, I feel like, to calm down people. And I've never seen something like that again.
Well, the police just did that one time after the incidents, and then that's it, they never done it again. It's just that they should be taking more action and more control. They're saying they have, but I'm not seeing any more actions or anything they're doing about this. It's just that it feels like they're just letting it go.
I think people have to believe and have confidence in not just policing but the criminal justice system. So for instance, if somebody's a victim of crime, they need to know that the police are going to deal with it promptly, competently. They're going to look after the victim, and it's going to be taken on through the criminal justice system to an end where that person believes they can get justice.
I don't feel that safe because of what's happening. You don't know if you'll be a target one day. I wouldn't say it's been done to me or anyone close to me, but given that I'm from the community, I've witnessed certain things. I would say it has sort of affected each of us in some way.
How can we regain that sort of reporting confidence? It all goes back to what I was saying before, and that is ensuring that local communities have confidence in their local police officers. You know, for a lot of, say, the young men and women in the town centre, to have a localised police team there, for instance, like the local neighbourhood policing team, who know their names, who can have a chat with them, and they're not just seen as an authority figure, they're seen as somebody who has an interest in them, you know, might know about their family, is out for keeping them safe, you know. These are all sort of the relationships that take time to build.
The feeling has come from what's happened outside, but some of the things that we want to address is, if there's no youth here, there's going to be no youth voice. The conversation that we've been having outside this room is trying to support our young people, me, myself, to tell them stay at home tomorrow, but nobody will stay at home. I think, for my personal feeling, it's irresponsible to tell young people to go out, because if you haven't learned how to control your emotions or be safe, you don't know. And if you don't have enough protection, you have no control and stuff, and the safety of young people is important. But how do we have that conversation when we weren't even invited into that room? And the fact that Ark House is behind Harrow and the Hill Station, where it's a meeting point for every event. And we've decided tomorrow that we've had a whole summer program, and every young person hangs out inside that field. We've said to everybody, stay at home tomorrow, please stay at home. But at the same time, the rest of the community is saying, let's go and protect. We've heard how businesses, the mosque and everything, what their needs are. How about youth organisations? We work with young people from refugee backgrounds, some who've actually come into the country and been here for 2 weeks. And that hostility online that you've seen around people that have come in, and we work with young people like that. We work with young people across Harrow and the Hill, around the station, and the fear right now, it's a lot. It's a lot. But also, how do we ensure the safety of young people, also that they don't do stupid things?
My name is Ismail Mohammed, and my role is Program Manager at Nomad, Nations of Migration Awakening the Diaspora. Growing up in Harrow, I would say that during the years, we got desensitized to a lot of different things. At the beginning stages, when I was in high school, there was a lot more things happening within the schools, within the home, within the community, and there was a lot of different connections which helped the whole intersectionality in terms of everybody working along together. Whereas as I got older in my teenage years and I started going into my adulthood, I started to see a lot more friction, I started to see a lot more displacement. When I was growing up, there was a lot more, I would say, what we call postcode wars. Not gonna lie, it did turn out to be postcode wars, but within the postcodes, there's one specific ethnic background that has a strong hold on that area code itself.
Basically, a postcode war is people are fighting for, in other words, where they will sell, where they own, in other words, and where they will sell their stuff and where they will hang around. And people fight for it for the same purpose, to show dominancy, to say that I own this place and now that I'm taking over, it belongs to me, in a sense of way that you guys cannot do whatever unless you ask for our permission, or you're not allowed in the premises at all.
Like, to be honest, I think like gangs and like pride is a big thing of it, because obviously like people think that like they basically like run the streets or something like that, and then obviously like if someone goes there from like a different area, like for example like from like Norfolk to like Edgware, then like why is that an issue?
But normally in Harrow, because Harrow has a more higher, how do I say it, there's more drug dealers, and that's where knife crime comes from actually, because they're always fighting for the money. You've got my money, now why is the customers going to you? So they all carry knives, so they're ready for anything.
When there's people from other areas coming just over a postcode war and whatever, or stuff in the streets that they don't even own, to fight and everything, it's really silly. And there's young people getting stabbed like me. I'm only 14 and I've been stabbed.
I think it's a multi-agency approach to, say, young people in particular, especially when you talk about issues of county lines, modern slavery. It really does require a complete wraparound approach from all partners and services to ensure that that person not only gets the right level of protection, as you say, and sort of safeguarding, but also that the right agencies know about the history of that young person, so they can share the right level of information. And one of the sort of the key things that policing has moved on from of traditional norms back in the day was that no longer, I think, does the buck stop just with sort of providing a criminal justice outlook for the young people, but it's incumbent on police to share the information, make sure that all partners are cited, and to have the conversation that that person may be dealt with in a particular way. You know, it's not all about sort of rules and regs, so to speak. The young person has to be dealt with, you know, as an individual case.
What I would like to see, and I've spoken to my daughter and other young people, if they did one-stop shops and things, because then young people don't tend to keep to appointments, but if they know that this place is open from 2 to 3, they're free to come there if they want.
Yeah.
It's not an obligation, but they know it's there and they know it's available. That sort of thing, in other boroughs, they're doing that in like Tower Hamlets, places like that, and it's been very successful. But I guess they're not funding things like that in Harrow, unfortunately.
That's an action plan. That's something that is to be aware of, that there's not enough programs available to young women, and that's.
I think they should do it in schools. I was even thinking about, possibly doing one-stop shops in schools, like 1 day a week from 12 to 1 being in the school. And if you felt that you could go and talk to do you know that no one might turn up, but 5 people might turn up, just to know that it's there, because with young people, usually they only come out of crisis point. It's a crisis point when they usually seek help, and you don't know when that's going to be. Do you know what I mean? So just to be there and just to have a space that they know, okay, that is there, and then when that crisis point comes, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, they know, okay, I can go here. Rather than, you have to have an appointment at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, whatever. Young people, it doesn't really seem to work so well. They usually don't turn up. That's why I know that in other boroughs that have done like one-stop shops, it's been a lot more successful.
To look at how people deal with conflict, how we taught to deal with conflict. It's the world teaching us how to deal with conflict. It's the government teaching us how to deal with conflict. That's the environment that we live in. And how do we equip young people with the right tools, but also tell them that's not the right way. We don't create an agreement or understanding through war. We don't use violence. It's a bit contradictory, and I think we have a lot of challenges, like working with a lot of young people that come from countries that have been impacted by war, and creating spaces where they're understood.
In the earlier days, people are more inclined to settle disputes with their fists. Now, most people can't fight, and a knife's an easy option. And obviously, even though there was obviously that sort of stuff back in the day, it wasn't as glamorized as it is now. It was more frowned upon. If you heard someone stab someone, that's bad. You don't want no one. Now, even people that's never done nothing, never even gone near a knife, they'll start saying, I've done this, I've done that, to make themselves look like it's seen as something cool to some people. Now I think that's what's changed.
Back in the days, people used to fight with fists and stuff. But nowadays, you see these little youngsters getting influenced by the music videos that they're listening to. And for them, it feels like it's a hype. Some kids feel like, for me to be recognized by these big people, I need to be carrying a knife, I need to be cool, I need to be selling drugs and all. That's what's colluding them to be doing this. But in reality, you're just making our environment even more dangerous.
Well, there's other people carrying knives, so number 1 is self-defense. Number 2 is if they have a fight in school nowadays, they don't use hands. They have that mentality of knife. So they've got to use knives now.
I don't know if you have seen it, but there was this incident where a guy was in a chicken shop, and 2 guys from the opposite sides saw him in the chicken shop, and then they backed out their knife. They took out their knife, machetes, big machetes, but that guy luckily had one on him. So imagine if he did have one on him, he could have been stabbed, right? So how are you gonna tell that person to let go of that knife, when it saved his life? Do you get where I'm coming from? I think people carry it for protection, not to call someone else.
I think kids sort of congregate, especially after school, at the bus station to get to and from home, and so that's where congregation happens. Obviously the town centre is where there's not that much for kids around. There's not really many youth clubs. There's not really anywhere for them to go, so they hang around the town centre. Bus station is like a social thing, because people, when they're coming to and from school, and then it becomes a meeting place, and people start to hang around there, and sometimes undesirable characters are there. They can be influenced, can be recruited. It's a place where a lot of people in Harrow are subjected to county lines. Bus stations, chicken shops, town centres are where these young people are targeted, and and then people get in a lifestyle, and then they recruit others into it. It's a vicious cycle.
You have to tackle it at its root issue, and for example, there's youth clubs that are shutting down. There's back when I was younger, there was a lot of youth clubs where you can just literally just go around, play pool, play tennis, play football, and walking around, they've all just shut down. So I'm fortunate for when I was young, like I had those privileges to just hang around and not really get into trouble because I had those youth clubs and I had those places to be. But you know, if they're not there anymore, what are people nowadays, what are they gonna do? Like, if they have no place to really just chill about or just, you know, hang around or anything, especially if a kid is coming from a very like troubled household and they're trying to get away from that, like, where else are they gonna go?
They don't have access to, I would say, like, places they could go and socialise in, forget all this like things that's going around. Like, we need more, especially in Harrow, we need more places where young people can chill out. You know, socialise. We always go into the arcade, we get kicked out. We chill in here, but what are you gonna do outside? Sometimes it's cold. Yeah, now it's summer, but there's always people carrying knives because you're outside. You don't know who's around you, who's carrying what.
I've been seeing that young people are being like rejected from everywhere, and I've experienced that myself. Personally, I'm an A-level student, so I need to work a lot and I revise a lot. And one experience is that I'm going to a coffee shop. I'll get a drink, go upstairs, do my work. 2 hours later, the owner will come to me and be like, oh, excuse me, a drink is not enough to stay here 2 hours, and will literally kick me out. Whereas when I look around, I see all the people with a computer buying a coffee, staying the whole day, and then that was never a problem because it is a coffee shop. That's what people do.
You can't go to refuge without parental consent, and sometimes it's not always, domestic abuse isn't always a partner. It can be a parent, it can be a forced marriage. We've had people call up, and I had a girl call up at 17, she said, I'm going to be 18 tomorrow and I'm going to be sent somewhere. Can't go into refuge before you're 18. Social services can get involved, but they don't have the training or the equipment. They're not equipped to deal with these situations. It's so limited, the services for young people. The support they need looks different from adult or children's services, and there isn't an in-between, and that is why so many young people are being failed. And even though it shocks me so much because they're at the highest risk of all age groups, but the least amount of services. They can't get IDVAs. They have
what age group is that? From 16 to?
From 13 to 17.
To 17.
And they are the highest at risk of all age groups, but have the least. They have limited specialist services. And the problem is that that they're the highest at risk, they should be, if anything, having the most services. How can we say to a young person, okay, you're 16, you can consent to sex, but you can't, if you're in an abusive relationship, you can't go to this service, you can't go to that because you're not 18. You can't do the freedom program, you're not 19. You can't do this, you can't do any of these free training programs because you're not an adult. Well, why are we giving them the power to consent then if they're not an adult? You know, either up the age or make it accessible to them. I would like to see a young adults service in Harrow, and not just for women, but I think education around healthy relationships for men and for women. You know, to give them the tools to make a decision and to give young girls the tools to understand what jealousy is, what love is, and what the difference is.
Well, I can think of 2 solutions off the top of my head right now. One would be to provide like more stuff like Nomad, obviously youth, to help keep the youth busy, because if you're in a youth club, you're not really out there trying to commit knife crime and stuff, because like most of the stuff really happens because like people don't have anything else to do. They're just finding something to do, and that's just something easy to do. Or like, for example, open a boxing gym. Like tell people, yo, if you want to resolve your dispute, sort it out in the ring. Because I feel like some people, they just got a lot of pent up aggression, and I feel like that's an avenue where it could be properly channeled.
I've had like youth centres that were shut down in my area, and I realised like from then like it started to go downhill. Stop making like knives so easy to access, because you can buy one off Amazon.
Once we support our officers and our staff well, they can take that confidence into the community and have better quality conversations. You know, they will be happier, they will be more enthused. And I know that the Met, and I'm not just saying this because I work for them, I criticise the Met where I feel it needs criticising. I think there's been such a leap forward in the last probably 10 years around the welfare of police officers. understanding how your behaviour would impact that of others in the community. You know, the sort of the Batarist box syndrome of, you know, my behaviour affects your behaviour, affects it. You know, so we're very cognizant as an organisation that public trust and confidence can be killed really easily. But we have to have happy and motivated staff to deliver on the core policing principles. And I think as an organisation we're getting there. We're not perfect, don't get me wrong, I don't think any organisation is, but it is an area of focus for us right now. The problem we've had, of course, is with austerity and the complexities of policing and a lack of numbers, albeit we're trying to get back there, the pressure has been enormous. And I think communities probably feel that. You know, they'll feel it from policing, they'll feel it from the NHS, they'll feel it from local government. But as a professionalised service, we have to ensure that we do our very best in every interaction. And I think that's key, whether you're a victim of burglary, whether you've been in a car accident, whether you're a victim of crime dealt with the CID, whatever you are, we have to be cognizant that that could be the worst moment of your life, but it could be the 5th or 6th incident that police officers dealt with that day. And we have to make sure that we provide the best possible service to that person.
Stop and search is not helpful at all, especially when they're not done by trained, like properly trained police officers, especially when it's doing it over and over again to the same people, because it is pointless. It is totally pointless, especially when there's a lot of abuse, when some of their rights are not being respected, when the police should be there to make sure the law is respected, but violating some other people's rights is not. I don't think stop and search is a good is a good answer.
Personally, I would think of increasing more police officers in actual dangerous areas like obviously Harrow bus station, and especially Harrow in general, because Harrow has just been very active as knife crime wise. As you can see from the news, the past 2 months has just been about 20 plus stabbings probably, and there's still no police whatsoever. Like, I could walk down the road and not see one police officer.
Harrow definitely has its challenges. It has its keynote incidents. You know, Harrow has had 4 to 5, I believe, murders in the last sort of 18 to 24 months. And all of that does have an impact on local communities. Once we start informing the community through our channels, partnership channels, etc., of the great performance and the great work that Harrow does, not just from the policing point of view, but through partners and community safety generally, I think it will give that little bit more inspiration to the community that they might have read about a horrible incident, and I absolutely acknowledge that happened, but overall, you know, is the impact going to be on you as a Harrow resident one that's going to lead you to be unsafe? But again, I do not sort of want to remain neglectful of the fact that the perception and fear of crime can almost be as damaging as being a victim of crime itself. We do not want people to walk outside their house in Harrow and think that they are going to become a victim of crime. That it would be a failing of the local police.
Well, if I'm being honest, I don't think there actually is a solution. The problem is within the system, and in order to change it, you have to change the whole system. But changing the system would mean like changing and ruining a bunch of people's lives, because everyone works in that same system. There's no way to change a system if it's been built over years.
The good answer would be centres like Nomads. Why? Because instead of people being outside in the bus station just chilling and, oh, he gave me a dirty look, she gave me a dirty look, oh, what are you looking for, what do you want? You're there, you're doing some activities. If you wanna draw, you can draw. If you wanna do anything, you can, but at least you're there doing something, and that's stopping you away from the street.
I know of one charity, which is this charity. It pretty much, in a sense, it keeps people active, and by that, I believe it can lessen people going out and doing crimes because they have something to keep them occupied, in a sense.
People, like kids, actually come from different, like Whitmore and stuff, and they come all the way here just to feel the experience we get, because we live in Harrow and we get to like see it build from the beginning. So kids actually see it and they actually want to be part of it, so they come across like all these dangerous places just to come here. So obviously it would be nice if other people had the same experience we had and actually get to see Nomad and build other, like branch out to other organisations and stuff.
And I can't remember what it was. I think it was the council tax that was unpaid or paid late or something like that, and I just didn't understand it, and my parents didn't understand as well, because it's a new system for us. I just went to Ishmael, and Ishmael explained to me, is that, oh, this, that happened, we went online, we did it all together. So I think Nomads is a very good place where you can actually help not only you, but your whole family if you have any issue.
The thing I can say is that me and him have a similar background, where we went to the same high school. He knows some teachers, he had some trouble with some teachers that I had trouble with. It's just that it's a sense of connection between us we didn't know until we found out about it. And obviously he's like an uncle to me in a way, where he just like, every time I do something, he just likes to tackle it at that point, so he makes sure that I don't do that again, to think about the future as well. Well, he's also a young person where you can just have fun and laugh with. And that's something that we need to bring to the community. It's just that some of these workers, youth workers, they're not like from the youth. It's a sense where they just do it for the money. But Ishmael and Asher is a person where they're doing it for us instead of them. They don't take no actions without asking us first. It's just that they say it's not beneficial for them, it's beneficial for us.
I personally would say that has impacted me in so many different ways. For one, it's helped me being a young person that was exposed to a variety of different types of workshops, variety of different types of cultures, not just within Harrow, but leaving the Harrow town centre, leaving the Harrow borough and going to a complete different area within London. It kind of allowed me to integrate within not just the Harrow town, but it allowed me to integrate within London.
What does true integration mean? Based on the realities that we live and the realities that we face every day, all interlinks to this. If we want real solutions, we really need to base them on people's realities and understanding people's real lived experiences as a whole, not just the incidents or the organisation or the interactions with different, but actually their life when they walk out of Nomad, their life when they walk out of those different spaces. What is it like to understand the choices that they make?
After several years, I've recognized it that you can actually develop yourself more and more. You become an example for everybody else in some ways on how to conduct, and you become the change that you want to see in this world. The change is not gonna come unless you want to change for yourself at the first. And that's one of the realest things that I've personally have taken on board right now, which is consistently evaluating myself, consistently challenging myself. Only reason I keep on doing that is because if I want to see change in this world, I have to see change within me.
It's how you take it, basically. It's just, if you think about your actions before you do it, you might end up saving someone. It can go a long way. It's just that the people in here, in Harrow, it's not people that are living the life of their life. It's just that everyone's going from a poverty. It's not even, I can't even say poverty, but less advanced. And yeah, it's just that, what's it called, don't take that too hard. It's just that maybe if you have a small home or a small house, doesn't mean that you're not gonna go big in life. It's just that you just need to keep trying hard and make sure to always follow your dream, no matter the circumstances.